자, 트랙 B 첫 번째 세션.
Okay, we will begin the first session for Track B, titled Education Serves Everyone to be a Future Leader. In last August, Korean government established comprehensive plan to expand digital education opportunity and reinforce digital capabilities. Digital natives, the generation which naturally uses digital devices and enjoy benefits it offers, will grow into experts who can fully understand and utilize digital technology. In order to respond to rapidly changing society, in addition to basic and mandatory digital education for our children, it is important for all citizens to be equipped with digital capabilities across their entire life cycle. In this session, we will discuss about measures to foster digital AI talents. So let me introduce three speakers for the first session. First presentation will be delivered by Janice D. Gobert, Professor of Educational Psychology of Rutgers Graduate School of Education. And Jihyeon Yoon, Senior Professional of Corporate Citizenship Office of Samsung, will deliver second presentation, and she's here with us in the studio. And lastly, we have presenter Jeong, Choi, teacher of Incheon Middle School. Now let's begin with the first presenter. As I've explained to you earlier, we have Professor Janice D. Gobert of Educational Psychology of Rutgers Graduate School of Education, and she'll deliver a presentation titled Inq-ITS, AI-based technology to support students' learning and teachers' pedagogical practice for 21st century STEM. She'll provide an overview of the needs for assessment of competence aligned to 21st century skills framework, then describe new patented solution called Inq-ITS. So she was trained at the University of Toronto and Manwol University, so she has extensive expertise in model-based learning and the analysis of quantitative data and qualitative data. So her main focus has been on the design and implementation of a virtual science environment called Inq-ITS, which assesses and scaffolds students' competencies at doing science. So we will hear her presentation.
As the discussant said, my name is Janice Gobert. I'm a professor of learning sciences and educational psychology at Rutgers University. And I'm the CEO of a company called Apprendis, which is the makers of Inq-ITS. Inq-ITS stands for Inquiry Intelligent Tutoring System. And its teacher dashboard ink blotter were developed on generous funding from the US Department of Education and the National Science Foundation in the United States. So I will describe Inq-ITS and its accompanying teacher dashboard ink blotter, which are patented AI systems designed respectively to assess and support students on science skills, also referred to as practices and competencies, and support teachers' pedagogical needs related to these science skills. I'll describe how the two systems work in real classrooms and how computational techniques from knowledge engineering, educational data mining, and natural language processing are used to first automatically score students' inquiry competencies and scaffold them via our digital agent named Rex in real time as they engage in inquiry, and automatically provide teachers with fine-grained formative data, alerts, and tips, which are teacher inquiry practice supports to support real-time instruction of these science skills. Lastly, I will provide an overview to the efficacy of these systems, both for teachers and for students, and address how our approach provides a scalable solution for the assessment, instruction, and personalized support of student science skills. So as an overview, I'd like to discuss that the US and many other countries face a STEM crisis because there are not enough qualified people to fill the ever-increasing STEM jobs. STEM jobs, important to the economic competitiveness of each country, require people who can think critically, solve problems, and reason with data to make informed decisions. But according to PISA results, many students worldwide are not learning the STEM skills needed for these jobs. For example, the US has dropped from 13th in 2009 to 18th is where we are right now. Korea, for example, is currently number 6. 21st century skill frameworks and the US frameworks, called the Next Generation Science Standards, seek to improve student science competencies. These frameworks state that students need competencies such as how to form good questions, test them via experiments, interpret the resulting data, warrant claims with data, and communicate findings in words. And teachers must also assess these competencies and show how students are progressing on these, but this is not easily achievable. For example, here's a class in which students are all doing science experiments, all at their own pace, possibly working on different experiments. How could a teacher possibly assess his or her competencies in this context? For example, here's Billy. We'll refer to him as such. He's a science genius who has conducted successful inquiry but has trouble describing what he knows on written lab reports. If a teacher is relying on his lab report, he would be assessed as not being competent at virtually all of the required science competencies. We refer to this as a false negative. On the other hand, this is John. He's a student who can parrot back what he's read or heard, but really doesn't deeply understand the content, nor can he actually conduct skilled inquiry. If his teacher is relying on his lab report, he would be a false positive. We have shown that up to 60% of students are wrongly evaluated if teachers rely on writing for assessment. And I published an op-ed piece in US News and World Report in May of 2016. So our goal in developing Inq-ITS, we sought to leverage technology to create scalable, technology-based AI tools to support teachers and students. We wanted to better support teachers in real time in their assessment of science competencies, in their daily instruction of science competencies, and in monitoring students' learning of science so they could jump in real time. We also wanted to better support students in their learning of science competencies. So Inq-ITS, which can be seen at Inq-ITS.com, is a simulation-based environment with assessments, about 157 of these now, for grades 4 through 10, and we're actually building up a higher grade levels at present. These address students' known misconceptions and difficulties with inquiry. They were piloted and refined with think-alouds with individual students and teachers. Simulations, widgets, and tools elicit and capture all students' interactions in Inq-ITS, and these logs form the basis of student performance assessment data. Performance assessments, reports, scaffolds, and alerts on students' inquiry practices and skills are generated. This required operationalizing each inquiry practice into its respective subskills. Then algorithms, including educational data mined algorithms, knowledge engineered algorithms, and natural language processing algorithms are used to assess and scaffold students' competencies and to alert teachers on who needs help and how to help them. So Inq-ITS differs from typical assessments. For example, multiple choice and fill in the blank items are not authentic. They only capture factual knowledge or minimal reasoning. They're easy to grade, but they put students into 4 bins, and students can guess. High stakes or summative type assessments rely on multiple choice items and open response items. The feedback is given too late to help students learn, and students may struggle in silence. As I first stated, lab reports or open response capture work products but not processes. They're hard for teachers to grade, and they may not capture what students know due to difficulties with writing, even when one understands how to conduct science, or simply parroting, where a student can actually score fairly well, but they don't really understand the science or the science practices they're describing. So this also refers to hands-on labs, which are usually done in conjunction with lab reports. Students lack the skills to complete them independently. They require equipment, materials, setup time, and space. They're difficult to grade, and the rigor and consistency is also difficult to keep consistent. So we developed Inq-ITS. Let me give you an overview of its components. On the left, as students work, simulations, widgets, and tools capture all students' interactions on science practices. These student performances, including their writing, are assessed in real time, so all teachers' grading is done automatically using our patented AI algorithms. The system detects when students need help using AI, and Rex, our virtual agent, helps students in real time. Real-time reports and alerts are automatically generated using AI, so teachers know who is struggling and how they are struggling. With alerts, teachers can guide whole class instruction or do differentiated instruction or do one-to-one tutoring, all either in class or in remote via Google Hangouts, for example, or Zoom. So when schools closed in 2020 due to COVID, teachers from 80 countries signed up to use Inq-ITS and Inkblotter. Tips are also provided as part of Inkblotter for teachers to help his or her students, and I'll be talking more about this. Rex targets students' inquiry difficulties. So regarding question formation, students may have difficulties forming hypotheses. They don't understand independent and dependent variables. Regarding collecting data, they may not test their stated hypotheses. They may not gather sufficient or appropriate evidence. They may change too many variables in the same trial. Regarding data interpretation, they may not link their data to their hypotheses or to their claims. They may draw conclusions based on messy data, or they may engage in confirmation bias during inquiry. Regarding explaining, they may not relate outcomes of experiments to theories being tested and may not link hypotheses and data to describe reasoning. Rex improves these inquiry competencies. For example, our research has shown that Rex helps students learn key science practices and apply them across different science topics. Furthermore, students retain the science practices long-term, and we've tested this up to 170 days. We have shown that more labs leads to greater improvement. So on the left, you see here the number of Inq-ITS investigations with the inquiry skills that we've mapped here, question formation, data collection, etc., data interpretation, getting better over time. As also shown on the right, as students do more labs, the variance in students' scores decreases, suggesting that our labs have the potential to close the achievement gap. Some additional findings for students suggest that students are more systematic with hands-on experimentation after using Inq-ITS. English language learners, special education learners, and students on individualized education plans show marked improvement with Inq-ITS. Many typically at-risk students did better at home with Inq-ITS than they did during their regular classrooms during COVID spring 2020. We've also seen improved state science summative test results in states like Oregon, Arizona, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, etc. Furthermore, students' perceptions of Inq-ITS are that they say that they know it's important for their learning. With respect to teachers, we have many different types of whole class and individual student reports. On the left, there's a report that shows students who are proficient at targeted inquiry competencies. That is the dark blue. Those who are developing at a targeted inquiry competency, shown in light blue, and those who are at risk, shown in yellow. The teacher then knows which students to focus on. Other whole class reports show class progress over the year, etc. And we designed these with teachers' advice as to what needs they had with respect to inquiry performance for their students and reporting out on NGSS competencies. Those are the frameworks for the United States. The individual student reports show how a student is performing within a unit or across the whole year, as shown here on the right. Where Rex has jumped in is included, and you'll see Rex, the small Rex icon there, and thus a reduction in Rex hints represents students' growth. This is a key way to show growth for students, for example, who are in special education because their learning trajectories are longer. So a decrease in Rex hints indicates growth. For teachers, we also have real-time alerts to guide instruction, do one-to-one help, or do differentiated instruction. This shows how Inkblotter works on teachers' phones. Inkblotter provides real-time alerts as they walk around the class, showing exactly who to help and exactly what fine-grained sub-skills of inquiry. Here is an alert generated that Taylor Reed is having difficulty collecting data. You'll see that in the middle, highlighted in the dark blue. The finer grain alert on the right tells the teacher that the student is changing too many variables at once, a common difficulty during data collection.
Professor
Yes?
Janice Gobert, excuse me, sorry about that interruption. So now we cannot see your slide at this moment, so would you please share the slides?
Oh, you can't see my slides?
We cannot see the slides.
Oh, that's so strange.
Yes.
How's that?
Yes.
Did you see them?
Now we can see. Thank you.
Oh, did they just go off?
Just a couple minutes ago, several minutes
Oh,
ago.
okay.
No,
Okay.
It just disappeared.
we
Sorry.
could.
Thank you.
All right. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I see everything. So you see the middle here, the teacher is given the alert, and then the teacher can click on that alert and get very specific information. So here, the alert says that the student is changing too many variables at once. This is a common difficulty during data collection. If many students are struggling with the same competency as shown here in the middle, teachers can choose to stop the class and do a lesson on how to collect confounded data. And there are various settings that the teacher can use to decide whether they want to work in whole class mode or individual student mode. But here in the middle, you can see there's many students having trouble collecting data. So the teacher could flip to the class, to the whole class mode and see the percentage of students who are struggling. Alerts also have tips. TIPS stands for Teacher Inquiry Practice Supports to guide their instruction. Here the teacher can access tips to help Taylor Reed in collecting unconfounded data. The teacher is provided with 4 different tips to help the student. These tips were generated by mining teacher discourse that predicted improvement in students' inquiry. Subsequent to this, we've done research after we created these tips, mining the discourse, showing that they consistently lead to improvement on students' next inquiry task for the practice on which they were helped, or the skill on which they were helped. With respect to the overall efficacy for teachers regarding assessment, auto-scoring greatly reduces teachers' grading time of labs. Algorithms match human scoring with up to 95% accuracy. These identify the mismatch between students' competencies of doing versus writing about their inquiry. And regarding instruction, Inkblotter alerts enable teachers to give more targeted help to more students more quickly than typical approaches. It helps teachers identify students that typically go unidentified, and TIPS, as I said, leads to improvement on students' inquiry skills. Now I'd like to talk a little bit more about what's under the hood and the computational advantages. So simulations provide real-time assessment, scaffolding, and alerting using AI. Simulations permit authentic science learning inquiry and assessment because they share many features with the real apparatus, and this leverages perceptual affordances. They also offer ecological validity that reflects the methods and skills used by real scientists. While students conduct inquiry with simulations, rich, high-fidelity log files are generated as students conduct inquiry. Our patented AI algorithms are applied to these in real time, and AI permits immediate feedback and alerting, blending learning and assessment. Extra assessment is not used. So the opportunity for real-time performance assessment, scaffolding, and alerting is now upon us, and methodological advances in computational techniques, such as data mining, offer analytical leverage on students' learning processes, not just their finished learning products. These computations are done in real time, done at scale, none of which were done before, possible before. Also, computational techniques can handle what's been referred to as the 4 V's of log data: the volume, veracity, velocity, and variability in students' data. These are desirable for ill-defined problems like science inquiry, and these are transformative both for self-assessment and real-time scaffolding. Results like this, or systems like this rather, deliver reliable and fair results because the activities are guided by learning sciences theory, evidence-centered design, and the literature on inquiry learning. The activities and subcomponents underlying inquiry assessments are iteratively refined via user testing with students and teachers. The data mine algorithms are built with students and validated using log data with very diverse students. And the generalizability is tested with new students who were not used to build the algorithms. This is important with respect to the generalizability and also a lack of bias in the algorithms. And we do hear a lot about that in the AI community these days. So the time is now. On the left, we see at the top an increase in online learning worldwide, especially since the onset of COVID. We have STEM workers that are needed. Students need support in science and teachers need resources. Many countries are falling behind in STEM and AI is viewed as a viable solution. For example, take a look at the UNESCO 2030 plan, which outlines how AI can be used to the benefit of all students. And furthermore, and lastly, AI can offer rigor and scalability, and AI can handle the 4 V's in log data. So in conclusion, Inq-ITS design is based on learning sciences research regarding students' difficulties with science practices and student misconceptions in science. Learning for all students, regardless of gender, socioeconomic bracket, ability, etc., are provided. This allows for learning and transfer of science practices, learning of disciplinary content ideas, and learning of the core cross-cutting concepts in science like scale, for example, cause and effect. For teachers, it provides automatic rigorous scoring of all students' inquiry processes and competencies, automatic reports and alerts to know who to focus on, and tips on how to help them, creating opportunities for deep discourse and equity in the classroom. So in closing, I'd like to thank you. Please note my website, inq-its.com/research to see papers, and I can be reached via Rutgers as well as via Apprentice. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor. 네, 발표 너무나 잘 들었습니다.
Thank you very much for your presentation. So she explained to us about the patented AI system. And we are getting a lot of comments in the chat box. And there are many questions regarding where this system can be used in Korea. So we will be addressing that, covering that again in Q&A session later on. So we'll move on to the second presentation.
The second speaker is Yoon from Corporate Citizenship Office of Samsung. She's going to talk about AI education to serve everyone to be future leader. Yoon is a senior professional in Samsung Electronics and has been in charge of the corporate social contribution group since 2012. She has launched and created several of Samsung's social contribution programs to contribute to creating a better world for future generations. Especially, she launched Samsung Junior Software Academy in 2012 and has introduced software and coding education to South Korea and educated 40,000 K-12 students and 1,600 innovative teachers. And she was awarded the Minister of Education Award as an individual in 2017. So good morning, I'm Jihyeon from the Corporate Citizenship Office of Samsung Electronics. Today, I'm going to introduce to you Samsung's Smart School and I'll also talk about the 3 changes that are happening in classrooms. In 2012, for more than 10 years, in order to reduce the digital divide, we are operating the Samsung Smart School. For the past 2 years, we went through a major change brought by the pandemic and because of other social changes. And through these CSR activities, we are making some changes in education, and we always think about what kind of benefits that we can offer to our children. There are mainly 5 things that we do. We have interactive digital display, and we also have the tablets and Chromebook, and we also have digital solutions, and we also have educational contents that we created with educational experts. And we help students to use digital devices or encourage them to utilize those devices in learning. And we are working with teachers to help our students for the past 2 years. And we are also trying to innovate learning in Korean education. We are also witnessing a lot of changes taking place in education. We work with digital natives, and we want to transform them into digital leaders. There are thousands of students that we engage with and hundreds of teachers that we've been engaged with, and we think about how we can turn them into digital leaders. I would like to give you an example of Cheongsong Elementary School. There are only 50 students in this little rural elementary school. We have a teacher, Jihyeon, and she was born in the neighborhood. And she started to teach here, and she was really surprised to see the reduced number of students, and she was also surprised with the lot of insufficiencies that the children had to go through. And she believes that equitable learning environment should be provided to students regardless of the location and the region that they're living in. So this is a picture of Samsung Smart School. And do you notice any difference here? The flip is the interactive display, and the teacher is using it as a blackboard, and the students also use tablets. And I'm not sure if you can see, but the writings on the blackboard also appear on the student's tablet, which means the displays are all connected. So in Samsung Smart School, the teachers and students are connected in real time, and the students are also connected to each other, and they can share what they're learning with others, and they can also share their ideas with other students. So the level of connectedness is now realized in physical classrooms, and it changes a lot. And these are things that students feel when they are learning in the connected classrooms. And these are things that we already anticipated when we launched the Smart School. So it is awkward, we are not familiar with it, and that's our initial thought. But surprisingly, a lot of students said that they were able to really feel immersed. They were really quick to adapt themselves to the new technologies. Usually, they are shy and they don't really ask questions during class, but with these technologies available in the classroom, now they feel more motivated to share their ideas with other students and their friends. And in many classrooms, you're able to witness the same experience and the same responses as you see in these pictures. And this is the pictures from the music class. Using their own tablet PCs, kids can work on their ideas, and they can also draw pictures about their ideas, and also they can transform their ideas into music. And using Flip, the teacher collects all the creations from the students, and that collection of different pieces of music leads to a song. And both students and teachers really had really different experience in that classroom, and these connected classrooms function really well if you're going on a field trip. So usually you have a schedule. For this elementary schools, students get into different teams and they want to analyze, or they are required to analyze different locations for field trips. They have discussions on different locations and they bring their tablets to take pictures, and also they interview the local residents. And by producing these materials, they can internalize their own learning.
청송초등학교 안에 아주 자연스럽게 스며들어 있는 이 연결형 교육을
These
통해서
connected classrooms are well received by the students and teachers and is used quite well by the students and teachers. We anticipated that people will feel awkward, but Cheongsong elementary school students are now one of the some of the students who use those devices the best in Korea. So these tablets and the flip display are used in this classroom. And do you notice anything that is really special or something that's different from conventional or traditional classrooms? The location or the position of the teacher is different. Usually in a typical classroom, the teacher stands in front of the students, which is identical in all classrooms in Korea, and the classrooms look all the same. So we thought how we can realize convergence education in this classroom. We want to change the position of the teacher. She now stands on the sides of the classrooms. So instead of just looking at the teacher, the students now sit in groups and they can use the entire space of the classroom.
어떤 교실은 저희가 공간이 가능한 학교는 교실 두 개를
If it's possible,
만들어서 훨씬 더 크게 사용을
we
하기도 하고요.
combine sometimes two different classrooms,
의자를 교실
and
안으로
there are also
넣어서
times that the chairs are pushed toward the back, depending on the structure that the teacher needs for different projects. And project-based learning and other types of learning are possible in this flexible classroom.
학생이 주도하는
We can also have student-led classrooms and lectures.
학교 현장에 많은 변화가 또 있었는데요.
And these are some of the changes that we introduced. Teacher Park Ji-sun from the elementary school said that there were a lot of students who did not like mathematics. And Teacher Park wanted to make sure that mathematics is not something that is just too difficult, but it's something that is really useful for everyday life. And students wanted to create a board game. And students got together in groups and they learn mathematical concepts, and they also create mathematical problems for their friends, and the logics and the rules were created to create a board game. And they did create a board game, and in this semester they also are creating an online version of the board game so that they can be played by students from other schools. Maybe creating the board game is important, but at the same time, through this process of learning, students collaborate and they also pursue their interest to lead their own learning, and they can also develop their creative problem-solving capability. So teacher Im Dong-hyun also said that this type of learning can be used in different subjects, including Korean language and other subjects. This is Cheontae Elementary School. 5 years ago, it was about to close actually. And there were also other schools nearby that were about to close. But now, there are also students coming from urban areas to study in this school. In Seoul and in surrounding metropolitan areas, there are many students who move to this region or this area to study in Cheontae Elementary School. So after experiencing Samsung Smart School for 1 semester, students now realize that this type of education or learning is really effective and helpful for them. And all the 16 parents said that they want to extend their stay and study in Chante Elementary School, so they actually moved to the region. So these are some of the pictures of the students, and this is also Manwol Elementary School. And this elementary school is located next to the Suwon Fortress Wall, and just next to the school there are a lot of cultural assets. Typically, even if there are cultural destinations, people don't really visit. But students here use digital classrooms and they make a visit, or instead of making a visit, they bring the cultural assets into the digital classrooms. And they did a project to create a museum on the fortress wall. And also, the students learn about the fortress wall so that they can become a curator to explain the cultural asset to other students. They created the virtual museum through 12 weeks of projects. So this is a video about how they did the project. And they always carry these tablet PCs to find information and to learn and study. It's like their study buddy. So this is how the classroom works. Before I conclude my presentation, I'd like to briefly talk about digital citizenship program. There is cyber violence, and also there is the issue of confirmation bias, and also there are some people who are concerned about in slavery by algorithms. Of course, the students are digital natives, but in order to nurture them as responsible digital citizens, we need to train them to grow as digital citizens. We never had any type of training on digital etiquette. If you turn 14 in Korea, if you enter the middle school, you can create online accounts without consent from their parents. When people become an adult, you get your own ID and you get to enjoy a lot of rights. Also, you have responsibilities as an adult. But if you turn 14 in the virtual space, you can function and you can behave like you're an adult. But we have to make sure that they become a responsible digital citizen in the virtual world, and we want to make sure that they become a digital leader in the online space. We received consulting from the Harvard University's Berkman Klein Center, and we created the Samsung Digital Citizenship Program. And there are 4 topics that we cover through 28 lectures. We cover digital identity, and it addresses topics like online identity, and also there is a chapter on personal information protection and security, digital identity, and digital literacy. And using Flip, teachers can open up the chapters from the program, and then students can use their own tablet PCs to connect themselves to the class. And they can also have debates and other activities. So this is how it's done. So storytelling-based classrooms are organized, and they can also solve problems, and they can also study what they have learned and have a conversation with the teacher about what they have learned. Through this type of programs, which is interactive, students can be really motivated and they are immersed in the learning. So teacher is not a person who just delivers information, but the teachers are facilitators to induce interest from the student.
굉장히 시의적절하다. 콘텐츠가 너무 좋다.
The contents are really good, and this type of program is timely, and these are the responses that we got from the users. And
뭔가는 알지만
students participate in the programs as avatars, and the students also said that they were able to learn really useful things that are important in the digital world.
앞서 소개해드렸던 학생들의 이야기 중에 하나 이야기를
I'd like to conclude my presentation with a story, so I'd like to show you this video.
궁금한 게 있으면 책도 찾아보고 그랬는데 원리를 이해하는 게 쉽지는 않더라고요. 너무 단순하거나 너무 어렵거나 그냥 관심은 갖고 재미는 있고 근데 쉽게 풀어지지는 않았던 것 같았어요.
발이 동전한다는 걸 안다. 무슨 들어볼까요?
스마트 스쿨이 생기기 전에도 과학에 관심은 있었는데 궁금한 걸 어떻게 해결해야 할지 몰라서 공부가 좀 막막하게 느껴졌었어요. 근데 스마트 스쿨에서 공부하고 나서는 생각이 확 바뀌었던 것 같아요.
생각하던 감정이나 떠오르는 느낌을 종이에 쓸 때랑 태블릿을 쓸 때랑 많이 다른 것 같고 태블릿으로 쓰면 그때 감정을 빠르게 표현할 수 있고 고치고 싶을 때도 바로 고쳐지니까 편하고 글 쓰는 게 더 재밌는 것 같아요. 태블릿으로 제작한 영상을 큰 플립에 상영도 해보고 유튜브에 올려서 많은 사람들한테 공유가 되는 걸 보니까 너무 감동이었어요. 이걸 내가 해낸다 싶더라고요.
플립이랑 태블릿이 생기고 나선 그냥 찾아보는 것도 재밌었어요. 내용도 쉽게 공유되니까 다 같이 공부하게 돼서 더 재밌는 것 같았어요. 스마트 스쿨이 생긴 뒤론 뭐든지 친구들이랑 같이 힘을 모아서 해결해 나가고 있는 것 같았어요.
이제 아이들이 스스로 찾아봐요. 더 알고 싶어하고 배우는 과정을 더 자연스럽게 느끼죠. 누가 시켜서 하는 일이 아닌 거예요. 내가 선택해서 하는 거지. 수업 참여도가 월등히 높아진 건 물론이고 집중력도, 아이들 서로 간의 소통도 상상 이상으로 좋아졌어요. 아이들이 이제 가장 분명하게 갖고 있는 건 할 수 있다는 생각인 것 같아요. 하고 싶다는 생각도 더해서요.
얼마 전 우주 관련 자료를 찾아보다가 캡처한 글인데 계속 머릿속에 남아있어요. 우주는 극한의 압력과 온도를 이겨내야 하지만 무한한 공간에 도달할 수 있다. 지구와 지구 밖에 존재하는 자기 자신을 발견하면서 세상을 바라보는 관점이 완전히 넓게 변합니다.
네. 디지털 교육이란
So digital education is not easy, of course, and training and nurturing the future leaders is even more difficult. But in Samsung, we have interactive display, tablet PC, and we also changed the education or learning spaces, and that changes a lot in the students and also in teachers. Now the classrooms are more interactive and students take initiatives, and the students are really into what's being learned. And
리더로 성장하기 위한 그러한
we're hoping that all of this will be really helpful for training and nurturing the future leaders in Korea. So today, I talked about some of the changes that are taking place in Korean classrooms. Thank you very much for your attention. So thank you, Ms. Yoon, for the presentation. And we have a lot of comments being posted online. So with these technologies now available and used in classrooms, we are already seeing a lot of changes taking place. So really appreciate Samsung's endeavor and its CSR activities for the betterment of education in Korea. And also Samsung is setting a good example for other companies to follow. Once again, thank you very much for your presentation.
Now for the third presentation, we have Ms. Jeong, teacher at Manwol Middle School in Incheon. Topic of her presentation is cases of AI education for middle school students. She will talk about how AI education can be adapted to the current curriculum and what learning activities are needed to help middle school students have an in-depth understanding of AI and develop problem-solving skills. She is a Vice President of Korea Association of Informatics Teachers and Vice President of Korea Association of Computer Education. She's also a committee member of National Curriculum for Informatics and a lecturer and planner as well. And she's studying how computer-related skills can improve students' performance at school. Let's listen to her presentation. Hello, my name is Choi and I'm a teacher in Incheon Manwol Middle School. So today I would like to talk about how we to conduct the AI education in middle school. Need to have some kind of rationale in order to provide the AI education in middle school. So I will start off by providing the guideline and I will tell you how we designed our AI education and how I practiced this in school. So I'll share with you some class examples and I will share with you how the students' perception of AI changed after we conducted this AI education. AI education is targeting fostering or cultivating talents so that they can have AI skills. It's not incorporated into the existing curriculum, but we couldn't wait for the next curriculum. So we made the AI standard and we distributed this to the basic, secondary, and the higher education. So in the middle school, there's a practice-based AI education happening, and in elementary school, it's focusing on play and experience-based AI, and in case of high school, is AI focusing algorithm applied. Is focusing on algorithm applications. So the main areas is understanding AI principles and practice, and AI impacts on society. So as children grow up, they have to explore what they like and what they are good at. So the goal of the learning can be understanding the value of the data, or after understanding the principle of AI, they can improve their capability to resolve the issues that they face in real life. So we made this kind of guideline, but we couldn't completely exclude the existing education curriculum. So we linked this with the 2015 Informatics National Curriculum. So if you look at the slide, you can see what is the standard of the 2015 Informatics National Curriculum. So the way we link these two is the understanding of AI, and that deals with AI in society. We link that with the information culture area, and the AI principles and applications that was linked with the area of problem solving and programming. And the social impact of AI can be linked to the information culture and information ethics. The middle school level, the standard is presenting what should be taught in the middle school level. So the development of AI process or Turing test or the part that deals with the principles and application is and collecting and processing and predicting the data or object recognition or classification, searching, inference, and machine learning and deep learning is included. And the social impact of AI encompasses the influence of AI and AI ethics to prevent the AI abuse. So today my presentation will focus on data analysis, machine learning, and deep learning. So in order to design AI training, let me explain to you the approach that I took and the area that I focused on. If you look at the images here, when teachers conduct classroom, I'm sure that they dream to see this kind of face from their students, this kind of expression from their students. So I envisioned this when I designed this curriculum, and then the first thing that I considered was that it should be easy and fun. And students deal with AI, which is the latest technology, in order to make sure that students find it difficult. How can I make it simple so that it's easy and fun for students? And let's say students learn it, but after they learn it, it doesn't disappear, but after learning it, they are able to better understand what AI is, and I want them to realize what they can do with AI. And the third thing is, in learning AI, why do they have to learn AI? So I wanted students to realize the necessity of AI and be engaged in this learning. And fourth, after learning AI, what kind of things can they do with it afterwards? So I wanted to, after learning AI and taking exam, that's not the end, but in making their living, what kind of issues or problems can they solve by using AI? So I wanted to teach this to students. So this is the key aspects of my class. So I focused on understanding AI data analysis, creating AI model, and problem solving using AI, but I didn't want it to end just by teaching knowledge. So I wanted students to experiment various AI. So based on that, I wanted students to know what AI is and what characteristics it has, and I wanted students to find that by themselves. So that was the focus area of my class, and then we collected the data, and then I also put the data analysis part into my curriculum, and then I put the part of creating AI models. So I'm teaching how students can create AI model, but if we look at the issues that are encountered, they can classify those issues, and depending on those AI types of issues, we can apply certain models, and then we moved on and provided students with experience of problem solving using AI. So my point that I wanted to deliver to is why students should learn AI. So when I explain this to students, I always give a Vatican Museum as an example. You might think that this is something that's far off and wonder why I'm saying this, but Vatican Museum is also applying artificial intelligence. So you might wonder where it is being used. So there's a lot of storage. And because as time passed by, the documents that are stored are fading away. So they are applying AI for digital documentation storage, and then after creating this into digital documents, there was a risk of hacking too. In order to prevent hacking, they are also introducing AI. So you can see various examples of AI being applied in the areas that we didn't expect, such as religious areas. So in the world where our children will be living in the future, all areas will be pretty much linked with AI. And second,
아이들한테는 굉장히 마음을 울리는
This
이야기거든요.
is a story that can really move the
버스가 언제
minds of
오는지
students.
알려주는 그런 앱을 만들었던
So,
주한 씨의 얘기를 하는데
I always
이 사람
tell my
얘기를
students the
할 때
story of
이 사람이
Choi,
어렸을 때
who is a person who
코딩이라는 것을
developed the
배워봤다는 그
bus arrival
경험
notification
좋은 아이디어가
system.
떠올랐을 때
So when he came up with a good idea when he was little, he didn't wait until other person or develop it to make it for him, but he made it into his own idea and then tried to find a way so that he could develop this by himself. So students are keenly interested in the story and they ask what he's doing now. Working on now. And another thing that we can't ignore is the high, if we look at the companies with high social value, the companies that have a top ranking, they are all IT companies. So as our children grow up, it shows that our children will encounter many IT technologies, and AI is one of them. And second thing has to do with data analysis. Before moving on to data analysis, we have to teach students. I explain to my students why they have to learn data analysis. When we analyze data, we can find out various relationships and derive new information sets. When I conduct my class, we conduct various activities so that students realize the necessity of data analysis. So after we complete this, if I conduct course too intensively, then students can find it difficult. So we look at the search word trends, and then there are services that are offered to the users so that they can identify the trends. So we use these services on the searching site. So if I share with you one of the examples, children are keenly interested in game and foods. So we conduct a simple data analysis activities, and then we carried out a project. And many students were interested on the top franchise chicken restaurant, and each students have different preference when it comes to chicken. So they have a different brand preference. So in order to address that, I said that let's analyze the chicken brand. And before conducting the class, I make the students answer why they chose this. And people have different opinions when it comes to the best chicken brands, and they said that they wanted to continue to eat chicken, and they are really happy in their eat chicken, so they wanted to find the best chicken brand, and they conducted this analysis for within 6 months. And then they also did a research and what chicken flavor is especially popular. And then we went on to conduct in-depth data analysis. The data analysis, as I explained to you earlier, it's understanding what the data analysis is and conducting that by themselves itself is very difficult. So I didn't want to burden them too much. So I wanted to make the class more lighter. And then I used the Saika Kodak. And what I often do is called the roller coaster data set. Roller coaster is a topic that students are really interested in. And when I dealt with the roller coaster, we began to question what is the fastest roller coaster in the world. After we find what the fastest roller coaster in the world is, then we look at the video clip of that roller coaster. And after conducting this activity, the students began to question themselves, and they want to find out more about certain kind of information. So they participate very actively. What is data in artificial intelligence? In AI, it learns from data. And if AI model is a structure of a brain, data is a material that is processed in that structure. And more data with a good quality, more good quality data, better prediction can be made. So I would like to wrap up by telling you that data is very important. So students are saying that they want to study data analysis. I'm very happy to hear that they want to study. And then I explain to my students what about AI. What is AI? I explain. Students tend to think that AI is completely different from traditional programming. So I tell them what the differences and similarities of AI and traditional programming. So I think many people are familiar with this, so I will skip this part. And then I move on to the next stage and talk about what we can do with AI. And then we utilize AI model and the problem-solving process based on AI. So after recognizing the problem, we collect the data and see whether that is worth conducting analysis. And in that way, we do a data exploration, and then we do a model generating and the performing and do the problem solving. So it always has to be fun to begin with. So we make a game using a motion classification, and this game is called Tumpi, escaping a poop. So if you escape a poop that comes down from the top, you get scores. So you can see students actively filming using the camera.
그리고 단순히 즐거운 것만 하면 저는 안 된다고 생각을 좀 하고요.
Learning shouldn't just end
좀 이어지는 활동이었으면
and having fun. It has to be connected to social activities. So that is why we had a class having sustainable development goal as a theme.
SDG 주제를 선정을 하는 보드를
You can see that we made the board selecting the SDG themes, and I asked the students to answer using post-it on the topics that they are interested in, and then they were
그리고 여기
grouped.
가운데 위에 있는 사진을 보시면
The students that had the same interests were grouped together, and then I saw students having arguments, very strong arguments, or quarrels. So I went there to see what's going on, and then in order to prevent AI model to prevent the school violence, they were trying to train AI about school violence. And while trying to make the AI model to put a fire in mountain, they also deal with the data prejudice. And when we think about mountain, we talk about the mountain in the fall time, but the case of a snowy mountain or the mountain that's cloudy, it can look as if there's smoke. So we have to take that into consideration when we build the AI model.
그리고 아이들이 또 활동하는 다양한 주제를 잠깐 소개를
And these are various topics that our students did when they worked on the project. So what animal or celebrity do I look like? And another subject is when they take a photo of a flower, there's a language
참새와 메새가 굉장히 비슷하게 생겼는데
helps them to identify the name of the flower and study rock names, and many people students are interested in wearing braces, whether they should wear braces for their teeth. And then before posting online,
내가 쓴 글이 타인에게 상처를 주는 말은 아닌지 그런 것들
whether the comments that they wrote is good or bad.
그리고 빙하 면적이
And the area of the glacier is reducing. So when will the glacier be completely melted? And what can we do now to prevent the glacier from melting? So this is another topic that we are covering. And we are also conducting CSR program activities as well. Under current curriculum, we can't do all the activities as much as we want to. So we do after-school activities, or sometimes in the weekend, we help the students to participate in the CSR activities, and one of that is Samsung Junior Software Academy. Students are really passionate about this. So after this course finished, they ask me whether they can participate again. And another program And Samsung Junior Software Academy is a program called mentoring program for students, so they can hear from the professionals about the advices for their career path. And another thing is SmileGate Future Lab. They run a hackathon. So in order to resolve various societal issues, what kind of ideas should be generated and how can they design problem-solving solutions? So we bring students in the weekend for this kind of activities. And as part of, we are getting a lot of benefits related to social contribution, and I'm very pleased that we can have this kind of opportunity. And lastly, let me share with you how students' perception about artificial intelligence changed after conducting this kind of education. They just had a vague impression that it would be convenient if I use AI, but now students say they recognize that they can really do something differently using AI, and they realize that AI experts are really should be respected. And they said that it was a very fruitful experience for them and that they will be able to remember it for a very long time. And students also said that they will be able to apply it in their daily life. So there's feedbacks that students provided me with an opportunity to further improve this education, AI education that I provide to my students. That is end of my presentation.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Now we are going to have a Q&A session with the speakers. So we also received a lot of comments on teacher Choi Jong-won's presentation, and some audience was really impressed about the presentation. And of course, AI is something that can be conveniently used, but using AI, it could be really useful to improve people's problem-solving capabilities. And we are really getting a lot of positive comments and responses online about the presentations this session. Now we will select some of the questions and have the speakers to answer the questions. So we also have Dr. Gobert joining us online in real time. The first question is directed to Dr. Gobert.
Hello, the person with ID Hello Cabot. Nice to see you again. You are participating very actively. So in STEM education, AI-based simulation education is very meaningful. AI technology based on big data. What do you think in what area of science education it is promoting? And to further facilitate this, how should the teachers design their curriculum?
So do you mean how should they design it to leverage best from a system like mine? Is that the question you're asking?
다시 한번 좀 간단하게 소개를 해드리면 빅데이터를 바탕으로 하는 이
So based on AI technology, based on big data, among the students' science learning,
긍정적으로 촉진한다고 생각을 하십니까?
in what areas of student science learning does it promote in positive way? And when this is utilized,
보시는지 궁금합니다.
in what areas should be taken into consideration in designing a class for students?
Oh, okay, great. So our platform is for middle school and high school, physical science, life science, and earth science. So we cover the core curriculum in middle school and also in high school. And the system is designed to teach students the practices of science, so how to conduct science inquiry. And we use the AI to track how they're doing it and auto-score them in real time. And you need AI for this because simple knowledge engineering won't work for science inquiry because it's an ill-defined problem space. So these are the kinds of skills that we're trying to teach, right? Forming hypotheses, collecting data, interpreting data, warranting claims, communicating findings. And then we use machine learning, we use knowledge engineering, and we use natural language processing to score students in real time. So with respect to the classroom, the way that it's implemented is the teacher does what they would normally do for their curricular unit on a topic, say plate tectonics. And then they use Inq-ITS to do a formative assessment of how well students have learned. So with that information, they can alter instruction on the fly because they're being given very precise and robust data about students' competencies. So that's the goal, to support teachers in real time via alerting, to have Rex jump in and help kids on the various practices, and then do teachers auto grading for them so that they can spend time doing teaching as opposed to grading lab reports, which is a rather arduous task for teachers.
Thank you very much.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much for that insightful answer. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. And after hearing your presentation, we got this of a cheering message. The thing that we can miss out on the assessment, I agree to your point that you said about what teachers often can miss out on the evaluation. So in that regard, I really want to use the assessment evaluation program. So if we can use this in Korea, can you tell us a website or name of the program that I should search on the website? So I think on the very last part of your presentation, you wrote you had the information about the website, right?
Right. So it's Inq-ITS.com, but you could also send me an email at Janice@apprentice.com, and that would be, I would find a way to communicate with you about it. So is it something that you would be interested in, sort of the whole country, or specific school districts, or specific areas of Korea? How broadly would you like to be using it?
Okay, thank you. 자, 의견에 대한 또 코멘트도 해주셨습니다.
And there was another comment.
오늘 이 포럼은 다시 공유 가능합니다.
This forum will be recorded, and we will be updating it and uploading it in the YouTube. So in the very last slide, there was the email address, so you can send her email, or if you ask us, we will also inform you the website or her email address.
고맙습니다. 자, 이제 다음 질문 소개를 해드리겠습니다.
Let us move on to next question, which is directed to Ms. Jihyeon. We really had a lot of interest in Jihyeon's presentation, and thank you very much for your detailed presentation on Samsung Smart Schools. And a lot of people are really impressed about Samsung's Smart School, and really a lot of positive comments about Samsung CSR activities. And also we received a lot of questions about Ms. Yoon's presentation. And this is a question from Dreaming Wins. So one student said that it was really useful to ask questions anytime she wants. And maybe it is usually considered as a tool to just search information, but maybe there could be other useful functions that the tablet PCs can provide. So what could be some of those? Thank you very much for your good comments. And we are creating these smart schools with the participation of students and teachers. Of course, tablet PCs can be used to search information online, but of course there are different ways to use digital devices. Of course, basically it could be used to search information online, but at the same time, digital devices can be used to realize connected classrooms, and you can share your ideas with other people to collaborate with others. So through this process, students can develop and experience collective wisdom, or how it is developed, and also digital devices can be used to assist students internalizing what they have learned. They can create videos, they can write something together, and this is all the processes that are required to internalize knowledge. In the process of learning, of course, a lot of things just do not remain in your memory, but utilizing digital devices by keeping the information and knowledge within your device and in the virtual world, you can easily access the information and learning can take place more naturally. Thank you very much for your kind answer. Now I'd like to switch to teacher Choi Jong-won. And there is education or learning divide and learning gap, which is an issue that a lot of people are concerned about. So what is your thought on this?
I have a lot to say on this topic when it comes to digital gap, and because, well, my concern when it comes to digital gap is the number of hours, because it's currently 1 hour, and in the future, it is saying that it's going to double. And but in case of a middle school, for 3 years of middle school, if it will be 2 hours per each grade, and it's questionable how much or how appropriately we can cultivate the digital skills of students. 2 hours. So that is why the teachers are very passionate about digital education, or operating like a weekend camp, or running after school classes. So students that join those classes will get a lot of benefits, but the students that cannot enjoy those benefits will suffer. So that will in the end widen digital gap. So I think policy-wise, there should be a policy that needs developed to narrow the digital gap. And in 201 education policy, they want to enhance the digital literacy, and that will be included as a part of the curriculum. But it is all converged or integrated. So I am also worried because students don't have the basic skills. So how can they deal with the convergence? And especially during the remote learning period. During the remote learning period that was inevitable due to COVID-19, inevitably students had to use the digital devices, and they had to acquire knowledge about digital technology. But 2 years have passed, and we should see some change in the students. But as a teacher, I really don't see much thing that has changed in students, and I think that has to do with the fact that there was no opportunity provided to offer a basic training that can enhance the literacy level of students. So we have to come up with the appropriate education curriculum to support this. So that is your suggestion, right? Yes. I am sure that the officials at the Ministry of Education is listening very closely, and she explained that we need a policy-wise education. So instead of converging everything into one, she explained about the importance of learning one by one, starting with the basics, right? Thank you for your insightful remarks. I started with the great excitement, and all of you are participating very actively, and I am sure that many of you have comments. She said that she wanted to talk a lot about the digital gap, so I think in the next one we need to have a separate session that deals with this topic. And because it is an important topic, I think we will continue to see a lot of comments raised on this topic. So because of time constraint, we will have to close the TRACK-B1 session. Thank you to the presenters, and thank you for questions that everyone posted in the chat box. We will end the TRACK-B1 session held under the theme of AI education to serve everyone to be a future leader.
So I'm reading all the messages that you're posting online, and I'd like to also appreciate your kind messages about my work and the work of the interpreters. And Lucky also posted a good positive message, and also there was one participant who knows that I'm seeing before for 3 years ago, which is really encouraging, and I'll also do my best in the coming afternoon session as well. Now we're going to have a 1-hour lunch break, and we will continue with the track B3. And the topic of the first session of the afternoon is digital makes the next wave in higher education. So I'll see you everyone again at 1 p.m. after